Welcome to the first video in a new series where we'll be combining our Java knowledge that we learned from the Java Basics series and combine it with AI in order to streamline the process of actually creating Java applications and become more efficient programmers in the process. So this series, Java with AI, is going to consist of 5 videos. And throughout these 5 videos, we're going to gradually progress from just using simple autocompletion and suggestions the AI gives us to building full-fledged apps 10 times quicker, making use of the power of AI. So before we actually begin using AI, it's important to clear up any confusion about it by addressing any misconceptions. So the most common misconception regarding AI in a programming context is that AI just becomes the programmer and it completely replaces the human who's looking at the computer screen. But in reality, it doesn't replace having to learn the language itself. Rather, it's meant to be just a companion and a superpower to help you build faster. Once you already learn the basics, it allows you to more easily and more quickly code apps. So it works alongside you, it doesn't replace you. So now let's actually install the AI that we'll be using throughout the series. So if we go into VS Code on the left-hand side navigation bar here with the icons, you can see there's extensions. So we want to open that because the AI is going to serve as an extension, an add-on to our VS Code editor. And so the extension that we're looking for is called Windsurf. So you should see here something that says Windsurf plugin, formerly Codium. And that's the extension that we want to install. So the reason why we're using Windsurf AI here is because it's mostly free of charge and it's also quite easy to use as well. It's pretty accessible. But most importantly, it's free so that we don't really have to pay money for it. So now we can click install to install the extension. And then you can see it's successfully installed. So after some time, a login button will appear here asking us to log into Windsurf because we need an account to actually start using it. So it's asking it wants to sign in using Windsurf auth. So we can click allow and then open the link. And then it might ask you to create an account if you haven't already done that, but it's very simple. You can just enter your name here and then your email address and a password, and then that'll automatically allow you to use the free plan. And so now you can see it says this site's trying to open VS Code, so we can click open, and then it welcomes us to Windsurf. And if you get this message, then it should all be good to go. So now that we're done installing Windsurf, we might notice a few changes in our VS Code window here. Firstly, there's now a Windsurf tab here where we can chat to an AI model. And if we open a new tab here with code inside of it, then you can see if we were to type something new, then it actually provides us suggestions for what code will be coming next, which we'll get more into later. And then we can accept the new suggestion with tab or reject it by pressing escape. So now to actually play around with this some more, let's create a new file here. Let's just call it AI practice because that's what we're going to do here. So the first scenario where this can be useful is when we're actually starting to type out a program and the AI just provides some suggestions for us so that our development is much faster. So let's say we wanted to create a method that finds the average value in an array of numbers. So what we can do is create a method signature here. It can write public static, and you can see it's already suggesting a main method, but we'll add that later. So our method will be called calculate average because that's what it's doing. So it's going to return a double and it'll be called calculate average. And so you can see how it's already thinking about the potential parameters that this method will accept. So it's suggesting that it take in an integer array of called numbers. And then if we press tab to accept the suggestion, then you'll see it suggests code for the method too. And so it's suggesting that we get the sum of all the numbers and then divide it by the length of the numbers array. So from there we can just press tab and all of a sudden the function's now fully completed. So we can accept suggestions as we're just typing, but a more refined way of getting slightly more accurate suggestions depending on the situation we're currently in is by using Java's built-in comments. So we can create a comment in Java using two slashes next to each other, and then afterwards we can write down text that provides a brief description of what we want the AI to suggest. And so once the two slashes are there, Java will see the line and just ignore it. It basically just serves as a way for us to note down what code is actually doing, which is much easier for navigating code bases. So for example, let's say we want to find the maximum value or the highest value in an integer array of numbers. So what we can do is actually write a comment here using two slashes, and then after these two slashes we can type in a description of the function or method we want to create. So in this example, we want a method that takes an array of integers and returns the highest value among those integers. So that's what we can write in the comment. And then you can see immediately it's suggesting a method signature for us, including the return value data type and the parameters. So we can accept the suggestion. And then it also suggests code inside the function for us. So we can just hit tab to accept that as well. So the quality of the AI's output depends entirely on what we actually write inside the comment. So if we write something more generic, like just a value instead of the highest value, then you can see it suggests that maybe that value is the sum of all the numbers in the array, and then it creates a calculate sum method instead, which might not be what we want. So it's always important to refine your prompts that you put inside the comments here. So now let's talk about some cases when you're coding with AI where the AI might not produce exactly what you want. So for example, in this calculate average method here, maybe you want to use a classic for loop instead of a for each loop like this. So in this case, we could actually step in after the AI's generated all this code and change some of it ourselves. So instead of doing int number colon numbers, getting each number directly, we could create a loop variable I so that it uses a classic for loop. And now you can see the AI is actually trying to help us do it this way. So you can see it's saying I less than numbers dot length, I plus plus, and then it's actually defining the number variable for us here so that the existing code that we still have, that we haven't removed, still works. So you can see how even when Windsurf gets it slightly wrong, it's still easy to change to using a method that you know much better or is more understandable. So that last lesson of stepping in when the AI does something wrong actually concludes this introductory video to Java with AI. So let's cap it off with a challenge. So in this challenge, you want to create a new Java file, and inside that Java file, prompt the AI using comments to create a new method that converts a temperature in degrees Fahrenheit to degrees Celsius, and create another comment asking it to create a main method to test the method you just created. And then feel free to run the project and note down your results to double check that the project functions correctly. Thank you very much for watching episode 1. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and be on the lookout for episode 2, where we'll learn how to actually use Windsurf's chat interface to actually read and understand complex blocks of code